morning, everybody, and welcome to Women Changing Our World. I am Kelly Jackson, and today we are missing my dear friend and co-host, Jamie. She had to have her appendix out last week after the show. So we're going to Skype her in later on so she can give us an update to let us know how she's doing. But we have a great interview for you, Debbie Ryan, who is an amazing woman and was the UVA women's basketball coach. So I'm so excited to talk to her. She's done so many crazy things. So that's exciting. So Judah, what did you do this weekend? Since Jamie's not here, what did you do?
Well, let's see. I mostly just relaxed.
Well, that's good. Judah, I had a very exciting weekend.
Excellent.
I got a new puppy.
I heard.
And he's the cutest. We named him Mr. T-Rex. So you can either call him Mr. T or Rex. We loved it. Judah, do you have the picture of the puppy?
Give me a minute.
Okay, Judah's going to put a picture on the puppy. In other news, do you know today, 20 years ago on this day, Gilmore Girls premiered. I loved Gilmore Girls, and I know Jamie loved Gilmore Girls. And my daughter's name is Rory, and every question I get is, did you name your daughter after the girl in Gilmore Girls? I did not. I just happened to love that name. Also, in the entertainment news, which might be interesting, not for you, Judah, but Tori Spelling and Jenny from 90210 are starting a 90210 podcast. I think Jamie and I are going to be listeners of that. I loved that show. I did not like the remake. Did you watch that show, Judah, ever?
I think I watched the original a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like 90210 probably wasn't your jam. But anyway, should we get Debbie on? What do you think?
Sure.
No one wants to hear me talk to myself for 20 minutes. I mean, I could, but let's call Debbie instead. Let's get her on the phone. Let's see. Here we go. Jamie's usually the Skyper, so I'm surprised I actually can do this myself. And look, I even wore my UVA shirt. I'm in it to win it. Debbie?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, can you turn on your camera for me?
I can.
Thanks. We want to see your beautiful face. Oh, there you are. Hi. I am so excited to have you on today.
Oh, it's my honor, really.
No, well, I had emailed out some people who are really into basketball, and we posted, of course, on Facebook and Instagram. You will not believe the amount of questions people have for you.
Oh, really?
So many questions. Your story is so inspiring and fascinating. So for the people that don't know you, tell us who you are and a little bit about your career.
Okay, well, I have kind of two careers. My first career, well, first of all, I'm Debbie Ryan, and I was a longtime coach at the University of Virginia in women's basketball. 34 years as the head coach, 2 years as an assistant coach under Dan before I took the head coaching job. And that was a great, great run for me. That's a really long run for a basketball coach, and just a tremendous time. And now I work with the University of Virginia Health System in development, and I work for, basically I raise money for certain diseases in certain areas that, really need good development.
Well, good. Okay, so before we get into the basketball, give a little plug in case people do want to donate. What are you raising money for right now?
Oh my gosh.
I
raise
things.
money for a lot of things. I raise money for diabetes, which is a very fast-moving disease, but we just haven't been able to conquer it yet.
Right.
Infectious disease, which is very interesting right now because of COVID. I'm in the middle of vaccines. I'm helping with vaccines, if you can believe that. Not scientifically, obviously, but with trying to get them moving and going in the same direction. Transplant, which is a really interesting area. Pancreatic cancer, which makes sense for me because I have been a survivor of pancreatic cancer, and things like that. So and all of these areas telehealth also, which is another one that has come big time into this COVID-19 area. And all these areas need really good, what would you call it? Funding. They just need a ton of funding.
Right.
And we've got to do a better job with it because we just don't have enough funding for everything, and we need to do that.
Hey, all you viewers, all you listeners on the podcast or watching this show, if you have an extra few bucks, contact UVA and help Debbie out. Let's raise some funds for these amazing things you're doing.
Absolutely. And I'm in Principal Gifts, so I get a chance to meet some really interesting people, and regardless, large or small, everything is really, really appreciated.
Well, good. Guys, get out there and donate. Call Debbie. Write her a check. She'd love it. Okay, now let's get to basketball because that is very fascinating. Okay, do you know how many games in your career you have won? Because I do, Debbie.
Probably close to 750.
Yes! That is insane. Okay, and how many times did you go to the ACC championship?
3. No. Was it 3?
You had 3 Final Fours, and then you you had 11 ACC championship games you went to.
Okay, so some of those were regular season championships, which means that we won the most games of the whole conference, and that was really a great run. 11 is like unbelievable.
You are insanely amazing. That's why.
It was a really great run, and obviously 3 Final Fours was just outstanding. And the fact that we didn't win one of those, the one in New Orleans was the one that was so hard.
Right. Did you after a loss? Did you ever cry? Was anything that upsetting?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, when you walk into a locker room and these kids put so much into this, and they cared so much. And you walk into a locker room where there's just a tremendous amount of emotion. You can't help but be caught up in all of it. And you feel very, very responsible.
I bet you do. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. How did you even get interested in basketball? Did you play basketball as a young kid? Or like what led you down this path to become the amazing coach?
Well, I grew up in my dad was an athlete. He didn't really talk to us much about his athleticism, but he won a state championship in ice hockey.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was from Baltimore, and he was really a good ice hockey player. But not only that, he just was very into athletics. So we swam as youngsters, all 3 of us, in St. Louis, Missouri, and that's where we sort of got started because there really wasn't anything else for us to do. There were no leagues. There was nothing for me to play in other than up on the road next to us where we played kickball and baseball and basketball and football. But other than that, we didn't really have many options. So he put me in a pool because I didn't do very well in dance class at the age of 5. And I was 5 years old, and I was just clunking around the stage. It just wasn't my thing. And so he talked my mom into letting me go into swimming, and that's where I started. But then, my uncle was Gene Corrigan, who was the athletic director at Virginia, went on to be the athletic director at Notre Dame, and on to the ACC presidency. I mean, he was extremely influential also in my life, and always provided opportunities for me, and I had to step to the challenge. But basketball was always my favorite.
And so how do you even become a basketball coach? I mean, do you start like with high schoolers and work your way up? Like, did you go to college and like study basketball? Like, how does that even happen?
Well, I played basketball in college, in high school, and in college, a little bit in middle school, but we really didn't have organized teams in middle school back then. And you have to study the game. There's just no other way. And one of the things that I used to do was when I first got to Virginia, I was a graduate assistant. I used to sit in Terry Holland's practices and take notes. Wow. And I would really, really gain a lot of knowledge from the way Terry would, I guess, manage his team. And then I got moved downstairs to this little tiny office, and lo and behold, my office was right next to the visitors' locker room.
So like dream come true for you.
Dream come true. And I used to, Bruce Arena, who was our famous soccer coach, was in the office next to me, and you could hear all the coaches doing pregame, halftime, and postgame talks to the team. So I'm listening to like Norm Sloan, Lefty Drizel, just all the Mike Krzyzewski, Dean Smith, all the great coaches, all of their talks, and I knew where they were in the game. Like at halftime, I knew they were either losing or winning, right. And if they ever knew that I was listening,
well, they do now.
They would have been so upset. But it taught me so much about the game, and I had a closet where you could take some tiles out and really hear. So. And this office was no bigger than just a little tiny office that most people don't even, I couldn't even get 3 people in there. It was so small, but it was so valuable to me. It was priceless.
Do you think
what I was able to
that helped in your success of being one of the best women basketball coaches of all times, just because you had access to that and most people don't?
Absolutely. It was, Terry Holland was the kind of person who he welcomed me. A lot of men back in that era did not want women to get involved. Right. They just didn't want them to get involved. And so, but Terry was always very helpful to me. He was always, always gave us a great deal of practice time because we only had one gym. And Terry would come down and ask me what I wanted, and then we would work out. But he was so giving and so kind to us. And when we were going to break the attendance record at UVA for that one game, it was called Hot Dog Night, Terry was happier than we were that this was going to happen. And this huge floral arrangement arrived at our pregame meal from the men, which I thought was real. I know. He is one of my favorite people of all time. But when you have people like that in your life that really value what you do and encourage you rather than try to push you down, right. It makes so much difference.
Oh, well, see, what a good lesson. Okay, but how did the other school's coaches treat you being a woman?
You mean are the other women's coaches?
Yeah, women's coaches, men's coaches, any other basketball coaches you were around?
Everybody, it's a community. And as we got older in the profession, the women's coaches were always very, very good together, especially in the ACC. We were all friends, and we worked with each other. Even though we were competitors, we learned how to be friends. Like, I could call Jody Conrad, Pat Summitt, Tara Vanderveer at any time, and I knew they would pick up the phone and say, "What do you need?" And there was always a sharing of important things. And one of the things that we shared with each other was the sports bra thing. Do you know that story?
No, tell me that story.
Oh, I knew you would love this. So when I started at Virginia, we would get these practice rolls, which was a T-shirt, a shorts. Sometimes they'd have a jock in there.
Because you needed that in women's sports.
But that's all we got. And maybe a pair of socks. That's all we got. So as I got into it a little further, I went to the assistant athletic director and asked him if we could purchase what was called jog bras back then, because they had just kind of come out, and it was just really important to me that we provide bras for the women, because they were using these ratty old bras and they weren't really good for athletics, and we're in a high impact sport. And he said, how much are they? And I said, they're $32. And he said, nope, you can't have them.
No.
He said, that's too much money. So I said, what do you mean it's too much money? He said, look, a jock's only $5. No way, we're not giving them to you. So I walk out and I go to Jog Bra, and they have like a stack of all the studies that they've done on the damage that women athletes were doing to themselves. So I got a copy of the study, and I copied it a couple times, and I went to every single coach in the whole department and got them to sign a petition saying that all the women should have jog, not just women's basketball, all the women.
Oh, I love that.
So I make another appointment, and I walk in with copies of my research, and it's no longer just the director, the athletic director sitting in there as well.
Get 'em.
So I hand him my research, and I go over the petition, and they started laughing at me and saying, what is George Welsh, a football coach, doing on this petition? And I said, he just wanted to sign it. And then they said, well, what is Terry Holland doing on here? And Terry was our basketball coach. And I said, well, Terry said he would do anything for the girls.
Love it. So he signed it.
And that's a true story. So they look at me and they go, Debbie, we can't do this. This is just too expensive. We can't do it. We're sorry. So I get up, and as I'm leaving, I turn around and I said, so if a jock were $32 and a jog bra were $5, would you not buy jocks for the men?
Ooh, good one.
And they said, all right, you can have them.
Yeah.
And that's how we got jog bras. So then Pat Summitt called, Jody Conrad called. They all said, can you send me that research? How did you do it? And so I sent the research, and there you go.
Well, that's brilliant. You figured out a way to do it in a man's world.
I just pivoted.
That was so smart.
It was just right in my head. I'm like, well, why not? It doesn't make sense.
No, why don't you go jog and play some football without your, jocks and see how that feels?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the craziest thing that has ever happened to you on a basketball court, like during a game?
I don't know. Lots of crazy things happen. like kids will come up with crazy things as they're sitting on the bench. But, there's so many things that are going on, and it's going so fast that I don't really remember anything really super crazy happening. We're just making decisions that can make a big difference in the course of a game. You can't let your blood pressure get too high. Once it does, you're no longer thinking effectively. So you have to really work to keep not only you quiet and calm, but your assistants and your players. And what I used to notice was when everybody was screaming and yelling at me, do this,
right.
do this, that didn't work. So that was when we did have a little crazy. But I learned that if I could just breathe and get everybody calmed down and then calm down the players, we were really good when it was late game.
Right.
And that's always when the crazy things happen.
See, I'm a hot-headed sports player. I played volleyball from middle school all the way through high school, travel teams, all those things. I tried coaching a high school team once, and I coached a club team. I could not stay calm. It was not for me. I was yelling and screaming at the ref. It was awful. I could never do it.
Yeah, that's how I started off too. But then I learned.
Right.
I learned that, and there's just different people in my life that I learned it from. Some pro coaches will tell you got to keep your heart rate down, and you have to do it with breathing. You have to learn how to control your heart rate. It's so important. It was Phil Jackson that kind of told me about it at first, but I had access to so many people that it really helped me in a lot of ways. But probably the craziest thing that happened was we were beating Tennessee in the 1991 national championship game. And one of my players, Tammy Reese, took a three. And the official underneath, after the three was already gone, going through the hole, and she made it, and the whistle blows. And I'm thinking, oh, did she get fouled? And he comes running out from underneath the goal and says there was a foul on a player underneath that was my player blocking out.
Wow.
So he tries to take away the goal. He does take away the goal. The other official, Patty Broderick, comes running over and starts talking to him and says, no, no, no. The goal is good. By rule, the goal is good. But then they go down and shoot. Or I don't even remember where we were whether we shot or not. But he took away the goal.
Did you lose it?
And we lost the game.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't that one play. It would have been very, very important for us to get those points. We ended up losing that game in overtime. Overtime never would have happened.
So you would have won.
So, right.
I would demand that you get that back.
I know. Well, this is the funny part of it. So one day I'm in the airport with Pat Summitt. So Pat and I don't even have a seat. So we're sitting with our backs against a pillar. And we're talking about stuff because we had met each other many times and laughed and talked. And she was talking about some personal things that she was going through. And then I brought up that game. And she says, Debbie, I don't even remember that. I'm like, oh, my God, it was such a pivotal part of the game. How do you not remember that? She goes, I just don't remember it.
What? Because she won? Maybe that's why.
Yeah, because she won, so you don't really...
You don't care at that point, you win.
Right, you win and you celebrate and you're happy. And
what was the most exciting game you've ever won? Is there one?
Oh, wow. There's a lot, but probably one of the triple overtime games. We won a triple overtime game against NC State, and another one, I think it was triple overtime against Maryland. And it was one of the greatest games was the Maryland game, and it was 1-2. We were 2, they were 1. We were playing at their place. And I'll never forget this. Like, I was standing watching my team warm up, and a fan walks in front of me and says, well, Coach, you're going home a loser tonight. And I just said, I don't think so.
And you didn't.
No, and we won on a last-second basket that we had to run a play for. I think we won by 1 point. So it was a great – and Maryland was packed. I mean, their fire marshal had to come, and people were in the aisles they were lined up all around the concourse in Cole Fieldhouse. It was the craziest game.
Well, that's the best when you have like a big, great crowd, right?
I know. And to walk out of there a winner, and I wish I could have found that fan and said, I told you.
That's what I was just going to say. You should have found that fan in the crowd and pointed him out.
No, I wouldn't have done that. And it was a woman, and I thought, wow, that's pretty bold.
That is bold.
But I love fans that are very, very, they really care about their teams, and they're just enthusiastic about their teams, and they're loyal, and I love that. That's great.
I mean, I have a favorite college football team. It's the Ohio State Buckeyes. I was born in Columbus. Okay. My whole family's diehard fans.
Okay.
You know, when you love a team, you love a team.
Right. Well, I grew up with the St. Louis Cardinals. I grew up in St. Louis.
I grew up in St. Louis.
You did?
I did. I lived in Ladue.
And I lived in Greenbrier.
What?
I mean, not Greenbrier. Glenwood Lane. Yeah, Greenbrier.
I think it's Greenbrier.
We went to the Greenbrier Country Club. It was right up the street
That
from
is
us.
so funny. Yeah.
I know.
I went to middle school there, high school there. So I loved St. Louis. And we went to all the Cards games. So like when Sosa and McGuire were having their home run, you know,
You were growing up.
I was growing up and we were going to those games. I love the Cardinals.
Wow.
Are the Cardinals still your favorite? I mean, besides UVA stuff, are the Cardinals like as a team yours?
I love the Cardinals in a lot of ways, but I love their gear more than anything. They have the most distinctive gear. Their hats are so cool, and the baseball bat underneath the Cardinals, and by far the best team in terms of gear. And that was like I used to. For my 9th birthday, I got a full-fledged Cardinal football uniform.
Cool.
But it didn't have Cardinals on it because they weren't good at that back then,
right.
I just had a red jersey, so I put on John David Crow's number, and then another. Then when I found out that John David Crow was a running back. He wasn't he wasn't the quarterback. Then I would put on 40. I'd take the 4 off and put 40 so I could be the quarterback. I was crazy. I was just crazy Cardinal because my dad, he was a national sales director for Anheuser-Busch.
Very cool.
Yeah. So when we used to go to the stadium, he would let me walk down, and I would actually go to lunch with him at Stan and Biggie's. And Stan would come and have lunch with us, Stan Musial. And he'd sign a ball for me, and I still have some of those balls.
That's amazing. What a great childhood memory that we both share.
And I was just a little kid. I was there until we were 10, till I was 10.
It's nothing like a good hot dog and a cold beer at a baseball game.
Yeah. And what a incredible experience when you walked into Busch Stadium back then.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Well, everyone now is on Facebook. They're commenting. They also love the Cardinals. We like women's basketball more than baseball, but we like baseball too.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Yeah. And they want to know, I'm getting a question in right now. Do you have an all-time favorite player that played for you?
Oh, that I could never say that. Believe me, I take stuff from the players all the time.
Did any player, did you really mentor any player? Because I know some of your players have gone on to do some other coaching as well.
I think I've mentored a lot of players. A lot of players came in needing some mentoring, and you had to be a good leader. And, I feel like last night I was on a Zoom, a birthday party for one of the players who was one of my very first. And I said, I am so sorry. I was a terrible coach back then. I mean, you were trying to figure out who you were. I was like 23 years old doing this. And I just felt like you really grow as a coach, and you get better and better and better. And as you get toward the middle to the end of your career, you're really good at it. I mean, you're really good at mentoring and helping. And I've had great players come through, but each and every player, each and every one has meant something special to me. Each and every one, in their own different way, has meant something special to me. I love that.
I bet you were like a mom to them. I mean, I remember going to college and excited to be there, but you're kind of dumb and young and stupid. And so I bet they really looked up to you as like a mother figure, kind of.
I think they do, especially when they're young. When they're like a first-year person, right. They have so many things to overcome, and let alone the fear. I mean, they just have a ton of fear. And will I be able to do this? Can I make it? Am I good enough? What do I want to be? I mean, and all of it just, and you just have to constantly remind them that it's a journey. And you just have to kind of ride the wave. It's sort of like you're surfing. Just ride the wave until you come out on the other side of the pipeline. And it's just it's a really cool time in their lives. This time, because they're changing so much, they're breaking away from the parents a little bit. They're trying to find out who they are. They're establishing themselves as people, and all 4 years are different, but they're so much fun. And that's what I miss the most but that's why I stay in touch with all the players, and I really love them, and I'm so proud of them. And I was amazed last night at this birthday party. 65 people were on the Zoom call.
I didn't even know you could get that many people on a Zoom call.
65 people, and every single one had something to say to this player about how she had impacted their lives. And she is now a professor at the University of North Carolina, and listening to them talk about her as a person, and how she's impacted their lives, it was just so amazing to me. And if you can be a part of that, just a very small part of that, it just means so much.
Well, people love you. People all over the United States love you, but especially here in Charlottesville. I have talked to so many people when I said you were going to come on. They're like, I've met her. She's the nicest woman I've ever met. She's such an inspiration. We loved women's basketball when she was coaching. Like, not one. I was like, you have nothing bad to say? You don't have like any secret or anything bad to say about her? No.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So we're getting a question in from Caroline Wilkie. She actually is a huge basketball coach locally for high school.
Right.
At Covenant. And then she coaches I think for FABA, I think. She wants to know, what skill do you think benefits girls most when it comes to basketball? Ball handling, defensive skills, or being a good shooter?
Well, the game is usually predicated on offense. I was always very, very into defense. If you're a good athlete, you can play defense, and you can learn that quickly. I think the skills, ball handling, are super, super important because they're so skill-oriented, and you have to spend a tremendous amount of time if you want to be a good basketball player. And so I would say shooting and ball handling. And as you're coming up as a young player, whether it's a toddler, you can start ball handling that young, to be honest with you. It's just dexterity and watching like middle school players who still have sometimes the two-handed shot. You really have to get them away from that. So you have to teach them day after day after day, get in close, so that you can use a one-handed shot. You can use your guide hand, get your guide hand off, and use a one-handed shot.
Right.
Because they want to go out to the three and do this, because they're not strong enough.
Right.
And so there's just so many things that go into it that you really have to be dedicated to be a good player at this. And you really have to put in a lot of time and effort. And the best players are the ones that really just love the game, love to go outside and play on their outside court or go to their gym and play at their gym. Whatever it is, they have to spend a lot of time, and it's a lot of hard work, but it's worth it.
So another question coming in is, how can we keep our girl basketball players motivated during this pandemic?
Wow. That's a tough one, but you can do a lot of things. There's a lot of outdoor courts, and there are opportunities sometimes to go to a gym and be in there by yourself or with one person at one end, one person at the other. But you can also do all your ball handling dribbling around the neighborhood. And that's what I used to do as a kid. I used to go up and down in front of our house, around the back, between the legs, around the back, between the legs, inside out, inside out. I used to do everything I could to make myself a better basketball player. And so you can get to be a really good ball handler and keep yourself going. You can also do sprinting out there, sprint, jog, sprint, jog, sprint, jog. You can do everything that you can do in a gym, you can do outside. So it just takes a little more work to find the place. And a lot of people think, well, I don't want to go play on an outdoor court. That's what kids today. But I was always on an outdoor court. I mean, that's where I learned the game. And we didn't have a lot of gyms like you do now. We had to go outdoors. So, and it was so great to be out there, and especially this time of the year, you know. Right. So take the ball when your mom or dad are walking the dog. You take your basketball. That's or you're smart. Lying there watching TV, lie down and one hand it. You can get a whole lot better.
Kids, if you're listening, listen to Debbie. She knows what she's talking about. Get out there with the basketball. Get off the TV.
That's right.
Get off the TV, Debbie.
Get off the TV.
Do you know
unless
what?
You're watching the WNBA final.
Oh, okay, unless you're watching women's basketball or any women's sport, really. Right?
Correct.
Any women's sport. Watch it. Why not? We have nothing else to be doing.
Women's volleyball.
Yeah.
Women's field hockey, great right now.
Yes, UVA. We had a nanny a few summers ago. Her name is Elizabeth Shim. She was a local girl, and she is an amazing player, field hockey player at UVA right now.
Yeah.
They're fun to
They
watch.
won yesterday on a corner, I think. I think it was a corner, and it was a really good play.
They're good.
I just watched the highlights.
Yeah, they're a good team. Okay.
Yeah, they have a great coach in Michelle.
I've actually met Michelle once, and she was lovely.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah.
She talked about energy.
Oh, my goodness.
Any player would want to play for her because she has energy. That girl. And she's funny. She is.
Okay, here's
funny.
one last question, and then I'm going to give you the floor to close with something inspirational, because I know you always have inspirational things. This comes from Jen Corby. She's saying, Charlottesville has few opportunities for middle school girls travel basketball. Why is that? They're now having to travel to Richmond.
I don't know, unless it's just nobody's picked up the gauntlet on it and said, okay, here's the program and here's how we're going to proceed. Somebody has to run it. I don't know what VABA does for the middle school age group, but that's a really great time to get girls involved. And they're right on the edge of, girls, women. They're just getting there. And it's such a critical time because middle school kids, that's when they either go one way or the other. They either stay in athletics or they move away for a lack of confidence. Lack of confidence, usually.
Confidence.
Mostly confidence, yes. A lot of girls are really, really speedy and athletic, and they can be very competitive, but then they get knocked down in middle school sometimes, and nobody knows why.
Middle school is mean. Middle school girls are mean, yeah. I remember.
They are, because there's a lot of people that think, well, you don't need to be in athletics, you don't need to be in sports, but sports is so beneficial to boys and girls.
I agree.
So beneficial. So I would hope that Charlottesville would find a way to help our middle school girls have a program that would travel, because that's so important. And Richmond's a long way away.
Yeah.
And that would be a tough travel. So I don't know who they would go to, but maybe start with the Y or the VABA and find out, how do we do this? What does it cost? How do we make this happen? Because I think each player sort of pays their way to a certain point, and then they usually try to help the kids that don't have the money to do it. So, but it's so critical. It's such a critical time, and we're going to lose kids if we don't provide them with opportunities to play at the highest level.
I agree.
And
it keeps people out of trouble. I tell you, I was at volleyball practice sometimes twice a day. I was at tournaments on the weekend. It kept me out of a lot of trouble I probably would have gotten in, Debbie.
Well, I got into trouble, so regardless of...
Not you. I can't imagine you getting into trouble.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I bet you got into a lot of trouble.
I'm still getting in trouble now, and I can't figure out how.
I was going to say that. I'm like, I bet you still are getting into trouble.
I know. I still get in trouble now, and I'm like, how did I just get in trouble? I don't understand.
Because you're fun. All the fun people get in trouble.
I think my problem is I wear it on my sleeve. If I think it, I say it. And some people don't like
Listen,
that.
we are two peas in a pod, Debbie Ryan.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so you were amazing. I am so grateful you took the time to talk to me. And can you leave girls, young women, girls in sports, an inspiring message? What do you want to say to them?
Well, we talk about all sorts of different things in our lives, but I got to tell you, Kelly, I would want them to be more like you.
Oh, you're sweet.
And I don't know if people know all the things that you and your family do for great organizations like our Children's Hospital. And you have been so giving and kind and supportive. And I wish more women would be like you, because that's something to me that is amazing. The philanthropy and the fact that you probably have to stretch to do it. But you don't even blink an eye. You say, this is important. And you put your money where your mouth is, and you give, and you help to really help our kids feel better. And I can't think of a better way to do things. Coaching a sport is one thing, but giving of yourself and of your family is far, far, far more important. And I just want kids to know that there are women like you in the world that do incredible things behind the scenes, and you don't want credit, and I know that. But
I think that's probably the nicest compliment I've ever received in my entire life.
Aw, you're so
I love
sweet.
you. Can we be best friends?
Absolutely. But I just think that's the important thing in life. And when you look at what we're going through right now, this pandemic, and it's affecting children in such a tough way, but they do have the Children's Hospital here to help them through some of this. And it's because of people like you that funding for some of the programs that are going on. And I just don't think that people realize how incredibly important it is. And it's not just children, it's college kids, it's high school kids, it's elementary school kids,
right.
It's people my age. I mean, everybody's being affected by this, but we're getting through. And right.
You got to have a positive attitude and be willing to work together as a community and as a family and as a team.
Right.
I think, this is not the time to be selfish, and it's not
Correct.
the time to be isolated. It's the time to be giving, and what can I do to help? If I don't have $1, can I donate food? If I don't have, I can't write a big check, do I have clothes I can give?
Right. There's a lot of things that you can do right now. And Charlottesville has done a very good job with this. They really have. And you can tell by the numbers in the hospital that they've done a great job, and that the health system has done a great job with this. And, we saw Bill Petrie this morning at 8:40 on WINA radio talking about COVID and what's going on. But we're helping with this pandemic. But I do think I want young girls and women to know that there are people like you out there that are so good at this. And when you do something like this, it brings it to the fore. And I'm just very proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you. I love you so much. You come on my show again anytime. Who needs Jamie as my co-host? I'll just have Debbie Ryan as my co-host from now on.
No.
Oh, well, I love you so much. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. We'll schedule a wine Zoom date.
Okay, that would be fine. I don't have a pancreas, or I have a very little pancreas, so I really can't drink wine, but...
Okay, how about we have iced tea? Water.
That would be good, yeah.
Okay,
Iced
well,
tea is
I
great.
love it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
You too, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Judah, that was an amazing interview. I love Debbie Ryan.
That was great.
She is amazing. Jamie, I know you're watching. I'm going to Skype you here in a few. I still love you, Jamie, but Debbie Ryan might be creeping up into the best friend category. I won't let her replace you. Maybe I will. It depends. It depends how nice you are to me, Jamie. Okay, let's call Jamie. Judah, let's see how she's doing. I wonder how she's feeling. Let's ask her if I can get Skype to work. Okay, there we go. My hair is very frizzy today, Judah. Why didn't you tell me that before I got on this thing? Okay, let's see if Jamie will answer. Jamie never answers the phone when I call, so it would not surprise me if she didn't answer Skype. Hi, Jamie. Good. Okay, did you watch that interview?
Of course I did.
I mean,
I'm surprised you're not crying.
You're the crier.
I know. She was so awesome.
She's amazing. I love her so much.
I loved what she said about bras.
I loved that story.
Because I feel like every good woman needs a good support system, and a bra is your first step. So
it's not that important for me, but for you, definitely.
I love what you said.
I know.
What an amazing woman.
I know. Yeah, she was great. Okay, so start from the beginning. Give us your health update, because Judah's going to kick me off here in like 10 minutes.
Oh, God. Well, you were running late today, so you have an extra 10.
Oh, that's true.
So remember we were talking about on the show the other day on Monday that I thought I got bit by a spider?
No, first you blamed me.
Right, I did blame you. That was the first step, because I thought that I had mosquito bites from your house. Which I guess wasn't true. And then I thought I got bit by a spider, and then you said that I had fleas. Yeah. So we went down this whole road of all these things that could have potentially bit me.
Yeah.
So then after that, totally unrelated, I started to get a stomach ache.
Like early, like Monday night.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I have this bad stomach ache. What am I going to do? And Ryan was like, take some Tums, you'll be fine. And in the middle of the night, I was like, ugh. So Ryan wound up taking me to the hospital. And I was at the hospital. I was like, I don't know what's going on. They did all these tests. They did a CT scan on my stomach. And then the surgeon walks in, and he goes, hello, I am Dr. Spinelli, and we're going to take you to emergency surgery. And I was like, what?
Okay, and I bet you're crying.
I am obviously crying. I'm like hysterically crying. And it turns out that I knew Dr. Spinelli because his kids and his wife come to Pikasso Swig. So I felt really good about that.
Good.
And he said that I had appendicitis and I had to get my appendix out.
What?
So then I didn't know what an appendix was. And I was like crying, and they had given me stuff for pain. So I was just like,
I know, I talked to you.
You don't need that? What will happen if I don't have that? And that's all I can remember is asking him if, like, when I got my appendix out, if I was going to be less smart or I was going to be missing something, because I didn't understand how I didn't need that organ.
I mean, I really don't understand how you don't need it. Hold on, let me ask Judah. Judah, do you know what an appendix does? Or what it used to do? Because I know you don't need it now, but then, like, why did you ever have it?
Right.
I think it helps regulate something.
Judith says it helps regulate something.
That's such a weird, so apparently I don't need it. So in my state of being less than sober, Dr. Spinelli drew me this really fun picture. And he said, and knowing me from Pikasso Swig, he goes, maybe I should draw a picture. I go, that would be really great. I'm really better with pictures. So he drew me this picture, and you guys can see it on Facebook. It's like, and there's this little flappy thing. And he said that they were going to remove it orthoscopically, and they were going to zip it up in a tiny bag. So they insert an instrument, and they zip it up in a bag and pull it out. And then all I remember is saying, do I get to keep the bag?
I don't think they let you keep your organs.
I don't know. I mean, why can't? But I never saw it again. I didn't keep it. Maybe I could have put it into like a charm or something. Disgusting. Like, just in case I needed it one day. Like, what if I was like, I need to regulate something, like Judah said, and then I was like, hold on, I have the organ, and I can take it out of my pendant and like use it somehow.
I think it's like meat. I think I would not let you come in and do the show with me.
Maybe I could keep it on ice.
Like it's like a dry ice every day.
Oregon.
Okay, so then what happens? So then you come home, you're recovering.
So I stayed at the hospital, and that was very, very nice because being in the hospital was a very nice break. I got to hit a tiny button, and the lady
people
brought
come
me
and
the
bring
very
you stuff.
Yeah, she brought me popsicles all night long because I couldn't have any food or drink, but I was able to have popsicles, which were delicious.
Delish.
So I'm like obsessed with popsicles now. You know how like when you're pregnant, you hate a food and then you can never eat it again? Apparently now I love popsicles. So all kinds of popsicles. So bring me popsicles.
Okay, I'll bring you popsicles. I'll make you boozy popsicles. I have a popsicle maker. I can make you boozy popsicles.
I thought about that. So then I came home and I was healing and I was like, oh God, this is like all happening. And then my arm from the spider bite or whatever was still hurting me. And I was like, I don't understand. So I called the doctor and I said, Dr. Spinelli, something's going on with my arm. And he was like, I don't think it's related. Maybe you should like call the regular doctor. I'm a surgeon. I'm not going to like chop it off.
Right.
And he's like, no, that would be aggressive. I don't want you to like take my arm off. But like, so speaking like Debbie Ryan was talking about telehealth. Right. So I used Doctor on Demand.
Right, I know.
Which is awesome. You can get a doctor on demand at any time inside your tiny phone, which is awesome.
For like $30.
Yeah, I'm a hypochondriac, so I like call them all day long. I'm like, I have an itch, like all day long. I'm like obsessed with them. And then like I zoomed into my arm and like I put the light from my phone on my arm and she was like, oh yeah, you have shingles.
Shingles. Jamie, only you would have shingles.
Shingles? I thought you had to be like an old person to get shingles.
No, you don't. Apparently not.
Apparently. So then I was diagnosed with shingles and then my arm started to break out, then my chest, then my entire back.
Jamie, you're insane.
So I'm trying, and like, so all my friends on Facebook are like, you need to get up and walk because like with your appendix, you have to like you have to walk. So I've been like walking the dogs down the street, and I'm like, and my neighbors are like, how are you feeling? Is your appendix okay? And I'm like, the appendix is good. It's the shingles that are bad. And they're just like,
they're like, you have the plague. Stay away from us.
Yeah, so like my neighbor left me flowers like on the third step of my doorstep. Like she didn't even get close. She was just like,
wait, we need that. What is that tape? You know, or you like tape it off so no one can come in.
Caution tape. I was like, so now I'm like, shingles. I don't have an appendix.
Jamie, you're falling apart.
My nose is starting to run. I think I have allergies. I'm falling apart. I don't know what is happening.
I can see your nose running.
See, the whole thing is a mess. I don't know what's going on. And my arm hurts too much to get a tissue, so I can't even like blow my nose, so I just have snot running down to my appendix.
You obviously had a bad week. I had a good week. I got a puppy.
How is the puppy?
He's the cutest. He's the cutest. Judah, did you show that picture yet?
I've got him ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Throw him up there. Judah's going to show everybody the pictures of the puppy.
All right.
Is he snoring? Is he like...
Oh, one's up, he said. Yes, he snorts because you have a Shih Tzu, and he's a Shih Tzu.
Yeah, I love that.
He's the funniest. So I'm having besides my frizzy hair, I'm having a much better week than you.
And isn't he the softest?
He is the softest. He's the cutest. He weighs like maybe 2 pounds. And we love him. And then Bronx, your Shih Tzu, can be best friends with Rex, my Shih Tzu. Of course, we'd have to have matching dogs, Jamie. Of course, we have to have matching dogs.
I know. And I think that they get softer as time goes on. So he's going to get even more softer.
When they say when his puppy hair falls out, he's going to have tiger stripes.
Oh.
I mean, of course I would want a dog with tiger. You had me at like teeny puppy.
That's the cutest. I love him.
I know. So when are you going to be able to come back?
Hopefully next week. I feel like I'm on the mend.
Oh yeah, but we have to make sure your shingles are like crusted over because Judah has never had the chicken pox.
Judah, have you got the vaccine?
Judah, have you gotten the vaccine? Chicken pox vaccine?
Didn't know there was a vaccine.
No, he didn't know there was a vaccine. So like you have to be like this is what's going to happen from the CDC. I read all about shingles because I was like very worried. Jen Corby's like, Jamie, no. So your rash is going to turn into blisters. The blisters are going to pop. Then your blisters are going to heal and crust over. Once all of your blisters crust over, then you're not contagious anymore.
Oh, now I'm nauseous. I think I might have the flu. I'm like gagging. I keep saying, so like every 10 minutes, I'm like, Ryan, look at my back. Is it better? And like, I just like pull my shirt down and he's like, God. Oh. And he goes, yeah, it looks better. And he's like, oh.
No, it doesn't look better. It looks bad.
And he takes like pictures because I can't see my back. So he just like takes pictures and he's just like,
I hope he's sleeping in a different room or on the couch or something.
He is. But I don't think, they said that I'm not really contagious unless we use like the same towel or something like that. But Ryan's sleeping downstairs, but he likes that because the couch is closer to the sports.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so live sports is downstairs, so Ryan just like sleeps. So all night, because I'm up all night because I'm in so much pain, I just hear like loud sports and Ryan and the dog snoring. And everyone's like, did you sleep okay? And I'm like, yeah, slept great. It's beautiful.
Nice. Okay, well, let's see how you're feeling. I think I'm going to have Rhonda on for a cocktail travel show this week.
That would be so fun. She's been doing a lot of
I know, she's doing
stuff.
And then next week, everybody, we're going to have on Denise Ramey, who's one of our sponsors. She's the most amazing real estate agent, and she is the president of the Virginia Real Estate Association. So I'm very anxious to talk to her. I have so many questions, not only about real estate, but also like Adam and I are thinking of doing something to our home. We built it 5 years ago, so we couldn't do like everything we wanted, at first. So like, what would she recommend? Like,
like what'll give you value?
What will give me value?
Versus something that you'll put in that may give you happiness, but not
I want the value. And I want the happiness, but I really want the value. I mean, that's the important part. And then we're doing a double interview. And then after that, we're going to have Dr. Mo Gaffney on. She is the head of Covenant Lower School. And I want to talk to her about like what the school is doing. They have had 0 COVID cases, 0.
Thank goodness. That's amazing. That's amazing that they were able like to pull
especially
that
with
off.
Little people, like little small kids. So, and I want to talk to her about I want to talk to her about education in general, because the public schools kids aren't doing in-person learning, and then the private school is that going to create like a gap between
So what are you, if they continue to have no cases, are you going to consider sending the kids back?
No, I don't know. I don't want to commit to anything. Probably not.
Lena's watching.
Yeah, probably Lena's watching. So I want to see how flu season goes.
That's true. Oh, God, please, I forgot that's around the corner. Forget it. I'll be out for 16 months.
You got to get the flu shot. I'm getting my flu shot.
I'll let you know. I did get a flu shot in the hospital, so I got a flu shot in this arm, so this arm's all black and blue. So I basically just walk around like this all day. I'm just, and eat popsicles with my other hand. So while we're here, I have a fun product to show you.
Okay, one quick product, because I have 2 minutes.
Okay. So I got this thing. So Misfits Market sent me a box. Have you heard of Misfits Market? I have,
but I've never gotten it.
So Misfits is this really cool place. So you know that like lots of fruits and vegetables, like if a grocery store gets fruits and vegetables that don't look perfect, they turn it away.
Right.
So there's thousands and thousands of pounds of food that just get thrown in the garbage. So Misfit Markets takes all these things and they box it up and they sell to you. So they're perfectly good fruits and vegetables, but they maybe look a little weird or they're a different shape. So they sent me this very smelly box of vegetables, things like this.
What are you going to do with that? Is that a radish?
I'm not sure.
I thought radishes were small.
Sure, but
is that a parsnip?
I don't know. I got this in the mail. Okay. It doesn't look that pretty. I don't really know, but I'll have to look it up online. They also sent me this.
What is that, a gourd?
Yeah, I forgot to open it, so it's been sitting here for 2 days, so it's a little stinky.
Good job, Jamie.
I have this. Oh, they sent ginger.
Oh, that's a good one.
This is good for the tum-tum. And they sent a bunch of these.
Those are going to be hot. I don't know if you should eat that.
You think?
I think. I don't. Take a bite. And watch your mouth catch on fire.
Oh, no, I'm probably allergic to it. My tongue is going to break out into highs. I'm done. Netflix is going to be
Oh my gosh, no.
And then, I don't really know if you get this in your Misfits, but they sent me some chocolate. Maybe they felt bad for me, but
I think they might have.
They probably were just like, for the love of God, we'll send this person a box. But they sent me chocolate. So if you guys are and you know what? It's only $20. And they sent me, the box is probably filled with like they sent me lemons, all kinds of stuff. It's probably filled with like $100 worth of stuff.
And how much was it?
$20.
Ooh, okay. Where can people find it?
So misfitmarkets.com. You have to check this out. I love this.
Okay.
So yeah.
Screenshot. I can't do that. Okay,
So
Jamie, well, I love you. I will call you in a little bit. It is 11:20, already 5 minutes past. And like it's over. The show is done.
We didn't even get to funny.
No, we'll have to do it. We'll have to do an extra episode.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll do a Facebook Live. Well, we love you. I hope you feel better. I'll call you in a bit.
Love you. I miss you guys.
We miss you. Bye, lady.
Bye.
Oh, poor Jamie. Poor Jamie, Judah. It's the worst. Well, thanks for your help today, Judah. I don't think you're listening to me.
You are very welcome.
Oh, yes. So, guys, tune in next week. We have one of our sponsors, Denise Ramey. She is amazing. We have so many real estate questions. Then we have Dr. Mo Gaffney, head of Covenant Lower School, to talk about schools, and I have so many questions about that. So tune in next week. Thanks for watching today, and thank you, Debbie Ryan. We love you. I love you. I can't wait to be best friends. I'll talk to you soon. See you next Monday, guys. Bye. That was a good interview, Judah. I loved her. I feel bad for Jamie.